It might have taken a while, but Donte DiVincenzo has finally settled in with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and over the past few weeks, you can really see how important he could become for this Minnesota team going forward. It was a really rough start for DiVincenzo in Timberwolves colours, but all of a sudden he's firing on all cylinders, punctuated by a season-high 22 points against the Rockets a few nights back, before he broke that season high with 26 against the Spurs one game later. That continues a little mini trend upward for the former Knick, and now over the past 6 games, he's averaging almost 17 points a night on 50% shooting from the field, while knocking down a scorching hot 47.8% of his threes on 7.5 attempts per game. It's still a relatively small sample size, but this is who he was for the second half of last season with the Knicks, and it's who the Wolves expected when he was added as a legitimate asset into the Karl-Anthony Towns trade. Now with DiVincenzo, it's always going to start with this spot-up shooting. That catch-and-shoot jumper was missing in action to start this season, and it's back in a big way lately. He derives a ton of on-court value from simply being able to make shots off the catch from anywhere on the court and in any situation. Over that 6-game stretch, his former teammate Mikal Bridges is the only high-usage shooter in the league who has made catch-and-shoot threes at a better clip than DiVincenzo's 55.6%. If he was just making those standstill 3 balls at that crazy rate, it would still be a refreshing sea change for Minnesota, but that's kind of just been the icing on the cake for the way he has improved their offense when he's on the floor lately. DiVincenzo has injected pace into Minnesota's offense. He's breathing life into that side of the ball, which often feels completely suffocated for the Wolves. When he's on the floor, they start to feel like a team who can actually win games on both sides of the court rather than just relying on their defense. And it's not just that he's capitalizing on transition opportunities, he's creating them for himself and his team and making the sluggish Wolves offense go up multiple gears. More importantly though, he's actually able to pump that pace into their offense within half-court situations as well. This is a really good example. His cut through the middle is at a sprint instead of a jog. When he catches off the screen, he's already moving quick with the ball, he fosters that drive and kick game from the middle of the floor, and then he's sprinting back to the corner, keeping the defense on its heels, and then getting downhill off the catch again for the layup. DiVincenzo is never going to make his money inside the arc, but he's showing a real willingness to force the issue off the catch and become a much needed downhill threat within Minnesota's offense, and most of that is really just down to how fast he plays and his intention to do it all at full speed. It can sometimes get him into some trouble with turnovers, and we saw that a lot at the start of the season, but lately the miscues have tailed off, and his effectiveness on these drive and finish possessions has ramped up. So he's shooting it better from inside and outside the arc, but the real way he's jump-starting Minnesota's offense is actually with his playmaking off the catch. Minnesota is an ISO-heavy team and it's not a good look on them, but right now DiVincenzo is the conduit between the ball-handling stars and the low-usage role players. He's acting as the perfect glue to hold it all together offensively. You see here he pivots back off this pin down, and rather than rising straight into this potential jumper, he draws this defender by turning the corner and then spoon feeds Julius Randle to get him an easy bucket. He's playing with that pace off the bounce and finding similar results to that coming off it over and over again lately. It's such a fun and free-flowing way to approach offense. Now his assist numbers aren't through the roof or anything, he's only averaging a tick under 4 a game over that same 6-game sample size, but what this mentality as a driver and a playmaker does is inspire ball movement from the team around him and force the defense into rotations that they can't handle. So when he flies off the screen and turns the corner, he forces the defense to collapse in on him, and now Alexander Walker has a defender running at him, he can go by him and force another rotation, and McDaniels ends up standing alone under the rim for an easy dunk. Again, it's all about that constant movement and constant energy. He's buzzing through this weave action and forcing Curry to step off McDaniels into his path, and that means McDaniels can attack a shifted defense running at him, making it easier for him to force the big into rotation and open up an easy dunk for Gobert. Even when the shots aren't falling, you can see how much this 0.5 mentality helps Minnesota and how much smoother their offense looks when DiVincenzo is piloting it with his movement and his playmaking. Chris Finch's free-flowing offensive philosophy really does have its flaws, but I bet he loves watching DiVincenzo execute his game plan. And when it all comes together and he can mix the pace with the playmaking and then sprinkle his shooting on top of it, you get that liquid hoops that are starting to become a staple of DiVincenzo's minutes on the floor. He's starting this break with the steal, and again, this is a pretty good catch and shoot look, but he attacks instead and forces Reed's man to step up, and when Reed blows by the closeout, he's sprinting back into an even better look at a spot up jumper. This feels like the Wolves offense at its best. Again, he's the one marauding down the side of the court here. He finds Naz Reid and relocates to the corner to reap the benefits of the fast break situation that he created. It's pretty unlikely that DiVincenzo is going to keep making close to half of his three-point attempts going forward, but it does feel like this playmaking and pace pushing within the offense is more sustainable and definitely fits in with the core pieces of this Minnesota roster like Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Naz Reid, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. If that's the case, Donte DiVincenzo is going to become an indispensable part of this Wolves team, just like he was supposed to be when they traded for him in the offseason. Thanks again for watching Howls and Growls. Please subscribe for more.